Here we have the chart of the spectacular singer, Dimash Kudaibergen from Kazakhstan. When you look at the chart, it's absolutely amazing and defies the normal aspects of the normal singing. Because normally, you'll find Mercury Venus and Mercury Mars and Mercury Neptune and Mercury Moon aspect, and all these are very, sort of a variation of him in his chart. So the first thing is, he is a Gemini with Mercury in the sign of Gemini. That gives him the agility, the versatility. The Mercury in Gemini is one of the most versatile signs, but it's not really one you normally associate with many singers. But Mercury in Gemini starts with agility. That's where the dramatic aspect comes from somewhere else. So Gemini part gives him the versatility, and that's the most important thing. Now, his rising sign is also Gemini actually. And Venus was in Cancer, first degree is like 3 degrees, and Mercury is an out of sign conjunction with Mercury and Venus. So Venus gives a beauty to the voice. Elvis Presley and Celine Dion, they're all born with the Mercury-Venus aspect, and many singers are born with that. Or Mercury in the sign of Libra or Taurus, they're both ruled by Venus. For example, Julio Iglesias has Mercury in Libra, that's ruled by Venus, and so does Barbra Streisand. So many tenors also born with that too. So Mercury, close to Venus, beautifies the voice, and he has Mars in the sign of Taurus. Now, it's not aspect to Mercury, but just having that gives that throaty voice, because Taurus rules the ear, nose, and throat. But the most important thing is his third house. You'll find the third house all Leo. Leo is the dramatic, the theatrical part, the way he pauses, the way he acts, and he'll be known for his voice. That's the third house. Wherever you find Leo in your chart, that's where you'll find the fame element. So it's a very strong element in his chart, and the ruler itself, the sun, is in his 12th house. Now, he has Sun in Gemini and Mercury in Gemini. Of course, they are like 22 degrees apart. But the Sun can also give a certain dramatic aspect, a very wide aspect. But Leo being in the third house is communication, and Leo is the dramatization of it, and the vocal range. Now, where does his athletic prowess come from? Because you need a certain aspect of guts, to be able to take that chance. So Olympic athletes are always born with an aspect of Mars-Jupiter. This gives a sudden burst of energy. He's born with a Mars-Jupiter opposition, as you can see. So the Mars-Jupiter opposition is like a gambler when you take chances. So this also plays in his aspects, and where you're being dramatic and all that. Now, he's actually quite a shy person. There's a certain shyness, and his brain line is completely joined. If you look at his hand, and you might be surprised that his actual brain line is quite joined, which indicates a very cautious type of person who should never play on NASDAQ. He's not really a gambler by nature. And he only takes chances in this singing, being like a vocal magic, in his case, like a magician. But he's actually a very cautious person, and who sticks to the tradition. And that's that Mercury being in Gemini, his headline being close to the lifeline. Is completely joined in his case, and which means that he has done years of studies and homework. And of course, from the time he was 5 years old, he started the vocal training and the piano. Both his parents were singers. His mother had a beautiful voice. She was also an opera singer, actually. And so music was in his blood. So the talent was there. The other things in his chart, his moon is in Scorpio. That gives a certain darkness to it, which is very attractive. And, when he sings very low notes also, so he knows how to have this sort of essential darkness about him. And moon was very close to Pluto. Now, the moon-Pluto aspect always indicates when you violate the divine truth almost, but it's very good for when you're looking after orphanages so he probably will do a lot of that philanthropy also at some point. So Pluto-moon aspect indicates in being in the sign of Scorpio. It's a very intense, magnetic, deep, dark aspect. And also when you go to these high notes, these whistle notes, what they call, that's part of that Scorpio theme in his chart also. It has a sort of an eerie aspect about it. Now, there's a wide Moon-Jupiter conjunction because it's a stellium, like Jupiter, Moon, and Pluto, all in the sign of Scorpio, all three together, so you can take a bit of wider orb. So the Jupiter-Moon is a mind expansion theme, where the public apathy loves him, gives certain visionary quality, but it's all hidden. It's in the sign of Scorpio. But he does have that theme in his chart. Now, Moon was also aspect to Uranus and Neptune. The Moon-Uranus is a visual aspect in his chart, that ability to dramatize things, to make it like a theater. And in this angel thing, for example, what he has done, in choreography it comes handy. So in visual perception, the Moon-Uranus is a fantastic aspect to have. The Moon-Neptune aspect gives an aesthetic sensitivity to the environment, gives a sensitivity in music and artistic things. So that enhances that. It's sort of a Piscean overtone. He also has a Moon-Saturn trine. This gives him that sort of that poker face aspect. It doesn't show the emotions and all that. He's born with that. That gives him a tremendous amount of emotional toughness. Moon in Scorpio, trine to Saturn, and Saturn being in Pisces, he's almost a bit cruel with himself. So he has to watch the aspect that he may not know his limits almost. So the Moon-Saturn aspect is fantastic for emotional control, but he may need a bit more iron and sleep. Although it's excellent for building up property, and seeing that Moon in Scorpio aspect to Pluto, he'll probably help a lot of building hospitals and all kinds of things. He'll donate to all kinds of charities or sing for them. And so the Moon-Saturn gives that the discipline in his chart. Very important aspect. Pluto is in the last degrees of Scorpio, and with that revolutions all around the world. His whole age group is that, where they completely transform everything. And it's also in a wide out of sign opposition to the Sun, where there are major, in your goals in life, the political ambitions and these type of things, when there are events which are beyond your control, which seem to thwart your goals, but that's from before. Now, actually, he has an out of sign square between Mars and Uranus. Now, that's a dangerous aspect to have. It's an aspect of, where there's a violent aspect, for that people have to be careful of guns and knives and assassination threats, etc. So, and he has that. It's like 4 degrees off, so the Uranus-Mars square, especially when he's performing on the stage and in community gatherings and all that, because his Mars is in the 11th house. Now, he'll be very much involved with the community affairs. But that Mars theme, every time that gets touched up, he's got to be very careful of that too. Hopefully nothing happens, but he is born with it's actually a Mars-Jupiter-Uranus T-square. And the Uranus-Jupiter, again out of sign, square. This part is a sudden opportunity totally out of the blue. And the Neptune-Mars is an obsessive theme. It's 7 degrees off, but it is there. It's an out of sign obsession. He's not into drugs, alcohol, or anything but singing and music. That becomes an obsession. But the nightmare themes that they create, this is probably, you might get into all kinds of operas. See, the thing which we are seeing is, these are just themes which are part of the opera probably. Because they have all kinds of backstabbing and everything in the operas. That's what it's probably reflecting. Now, when he went to China in the finale of the Singer 2017, on April 15th, 2017, when he performed, he stunned the Chinese audience. It was amazing, this vocal performance of the Earth Song. And he got the second prize. He really should have got the first one, because the other one was a Chinese and he'd been singing for a long time. But that was a beginning. That was what shot him into fame. It was an absolute stunning performance. And he stole the spotlight when he sang the French singer Daniel Balavoin's SOS, Le Ontarien en détresse. He's got this sort of an angelic voice, and it completely blew the audience away. And that was the beginning of his fame. Saturn in his chart was just rising above the horizon on the 7th house. That's the beginning. And in 7 years after that, you reach the peak. 7 years after that, you consolidate your position in the public, and 2.5 years after that, you can retire. So 2017, April was just the beginning in this case. Moon was also in Sagittarius, just beginning. It was in his 6th house that time. And if it was in the 10th house, he would have won, I'm sure, because his performance was absolutely flawless. And Jupiter was in his 5th house, in the sign of Libra. So all the people falling in love with him, I'm sure. And also, 5th house is all your entertainment world and your hobbies. So that's the beginning of his. It was a great boost for all of that. And it was trining his Mercury. So major contracts around the world. He'll probably get a $100 million contract in Vegas and all that, I'm sure. And Jupiter was touching off that Uranus also in his chart. So all these sudden opportunities totally out of the blue come up. Also, Uranus was in his 11th house. 11th house, all social media, which was completely ablaze with that performance. And the Sun, Mercury, everything were in his 11th house, where you're performing on the stage, not just the limelight theme, but it's like a society around the world. So it's a social media which really picked up at that time. So 11th house like a community, and Facebook and YouTube, these are all like 11th house themes. Neptune in the sign of Pisces, right on top of his chart, and will stay for a number of years, of course. And Venus was also there, and it has that pathos to it. It's sort of a sacred sadness to it. Neptune was also touching off his Saturn, which can give people a bit of deep insecurities, but also on the positive side, when you're able to perfect because of that. He hadn't even thought in his wildest dream that he'll be so famous, but that was the beginning. So every planet in his chart is moving up in his chart. So he's definitely destined for fame and to leave his mark around the world. And having that Pisces and Aries right on top of his chart, along with Aquarius, he'll probably have his own studios and everything also. And Pisces is like a savior. And he's born with Saturn right on top of the chart in the sign of Pisces. There's a productive use of things pertaining to children and old people, and using music with that, actually. He has Venus in the sign of Cancer, and is part of a grand trine linking Saturn as well as Jupiter. The Venus-Jupiter trine is an incredibly wealthy aspect to have. And that's one of the themes of fame also. If a person's chart is really poor, you definitely can say that somehow the media won't pick it up, or it has to be in that chart also. So the incredible wealth part is that he's born with that theme. Also, the Venus-Saturn trine indicates he likes mature or older women. And it's very loyal. He'll be a very good father. And Obama was also born with that Venus in Cancer. Natalie Portman is born with Venus in Cancer. She was actually discovered in a pizza parlor. So a place like restaurants and all that, those are very positive places for him. But there's a food element. The Jupiter-Saturn trine gives him the long-range aspect, the ability to finish things even when they are getting boring and all that. So he has tremendous amount of perseverance, a lot of emotional depth. He has Sun and Mercury in Gemini, which is a very objective and good sense of humor and versatility and communication and languages. Many linguists are born with Mercury in Gemini, actually, and he's born with that. And it's very close to the first house, which also gives that a certain dramatic element. It's actually in the sign of Gemini, but in the 12th house. 12th house, the Piscean overtone also. So the healing type of voice too. So Venus in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter, Moon, and Pluto in Scorpio. So you have 5 planets in water. You'll have a lot of empathy and compassion and feelings and sensitivity, along with this objectivity. Natural psychologists are born with this aspect. When he sang the Michael Jackson's tribute with all these children, it's absolutely breathtaking. And you can actually feel that. You don't even have to understand the words, just by the expression. So he knows how to express that part. One of the best singers in the world with over 6 octaves of range. And it requires a special type of astrologer to even understand this chart. And you've got to be talented yourself in so many different ways to be able to understand Dimash. This is not a normal chart, actually. You're like an athlete, like Olympic athletes are born with the Mars-Jupiter theme. There's sensitivity in his chart. And Sun and Mercury in the 12th house. See, 12th has the Piscean overtone to it. The sense of sacrifice, etc. The Scorpio part has that in the nighttime that it really shines with all these spotlights. But the Leo theme in the part of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th house. 4th house indicates you'll be living in a place, exclusive places and all that. That's a Leo theme. 2nd house, how you make your money. And probably he'll have some, restaurants with his name and all that too. He's got Cancer and Leo in the 2nd house. And the 3rd house definitely is that Leo theme in acting, but definitely the voice and the message. And he'll be writing himself, and I'm sure he'll be composing. He plays many instruments too, the piano, the string instruments, and also the drums. So the versatility most definitely is there. The depth is there. He's born with Jupiter in the 5th house, which is a very lucky aspect, actually. It's like a major windfall theme. And also to save people. It's a sign of Scorpio, actually. And we wish Dimash all the best and good luck in life. This is your astrologer, Hassan Jaffer. Hope you enjoyed my analysis, and you can subscribe to our channel also.